What's up, good people? How y'all doing out there today? Oh my goodness, we are so excited to be back with you for another session of the Elevate podcast, where our mission is to inspire you to go from burnout to bliss. I'm Reggie.
And I'm Ebony.
And before we dive in, we just want to say thank you for all the love and support after our last episode. You know, when you're launching something new, you never know how it's going to be received. So last week when the station owner called us to say the response was overwhelmingly positive, guys, that meant everything to us.
It really did.
We truly appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, sharing, and giving us that encouragement.
So last week we got personal, sharing our faith journey and how it shaped and sustained P3 Financial Group. We laid it all out, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to show that success isn't always pretty, but you know what? It is definitely worth it.
No doubt about it.
This week we decided to shake things up a bit and bring you something special. So we're sitting down with two amazing team members of ours, Melanie Jones and ShaRhonda Warner, who made the bold move from corporate America to financial advising. Their journey is powerful, their insights are invaluable, and we believe that their stories will inspire you to take the leap toward the life that you truly want. So sit back, take some notes, and get ready to be inspired. Let's do it.
All right, as Ebony said, let's just jump right into it. So we have with us today ShaRhonda and Melanie. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
We're so glad to have you. And, you know, guys, just so everybody knows, these are team members with P3 Financial Group. But as we were looking around thinking about, you know what, whose story will inspire? We got some other people lined up, but we say, let's start in-house. So we just want to start off with, can each of you share with us your professional background before becoming financial advisors? ShaRhonda, start us out.
Well, I started out in the world of accounting. Once I graduated from high school, I just loved numbers. So I went to UT Martin.
You love numbers.
I love
now,
numbers.
That's not something you hear today.
I do too.
Yes, I love numbers and just figuring out problems. You know, I'm a problem solver.
Okay.
So I went to UT Martin, graduated, got my bachelor's in accounting. And then from there, I went back and I got my master's in accounting with a concentration in taxation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie, what about you?
Well, in high school, I like numbers, but I thought I was going to be a doctor. But that turned out not to be my journey because I realized I don't like blood, and blood does not like me. Okay. So I went to college, and I majored in business administration, had 3 minors, thought I was going to, out the gate, start my own business.
Okay.
I went, got my master's degree, got my MBA, and then I entered the world of banking because I did a project in undergrad, a marketing project where we had to do this strategy for these Fortune 500 companies, and we did one for Bank of America.
Okay.
And I was like, man, that company right there, I'm going to work for that company.
Yeah.
So I did. So when I graduated, I moved to Nashville, started working for Bank of America, and that is my journey. I worked for Bank of America, then transitioned to another banking financial institution before transitioning to financial consulting.
Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you both, what was the turning point that made you realize it was time to leave corporate America?
Oh, wow. For me, just being 100% honest, one day I was walking in the park and I remember like literally God saying, what is it that you love doing? Mm-hmm. So I was like, I like planning finances. I like financial planning. And I also like wedding planning. You know, I'm a crafter. I like doing all this thing. And so I was actually at the moment in grad school working on a master's degree in another master's degree in public administration. So God was like, well, do that. And literally that was the journey for me. That was the start of my journey. Like, so I'm not going to tell everybody this, but I did. I just dropped out of school. I was like, I'm not
Not from your undergrad, though, right?
No, from my second master's degree.
Oh,
so
okay,
I'm like 3 classes, no, maybe 3 or 4 classes from having another master's in public administration.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it sounds like you like more project-oriented things than ongoing.
Yes.
Which accounting is very ongoing. It's mundane, and you do the same thing every month.
Yes.
But with both event planning and financial planning, you you have a specific goal and then you move on.
Yeah, nothing's the same.
So let me ask you this, ShaRhonda. So for you, was it a sense of frustration, or it was just, were you frustrated where you currently were, or you just knew that it was something else you wanted to do?
I knew that it was something else because I was actually on the path of being a CFP and a CFP as well as
A CFO.
a CFO.
Okay.
And also getting my CPA license.
Got you.
Because,
Okay.
that was the first part of it. But then I was just all over the place. But like I said, it was something about numbers and personal finance. Like in my spare time, I would read books on that.
Okay.
I would do budgets for people for Christmas presents.
Okay.
Wow,
It's different.
that's different.
Yeah, like, you need a budget? Oh, I got you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just knew inside that there was something else you were called to do.
Yes, and I love it.
That's great. What
Which is
about you, Melanie?
Yeah, what about you, Mel?
Well, I'll say this. I remember a consistency of people that looked like me.
Okay.
Constantly coming into the bank, I saw what they made every single month. And I saw that they were in my chair every single month saying, how can you help me with these overdraft fees? And I'm looking at the accounts and I'm like, you know what? You do so well. Like, what is it that's happening? How do we sit down and actually navigate what's happening?
Hold on. And these are people that made good money.
Very good money.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
But they
and
were
I'm-
still overdrafting their accounts.
Yeah, and I'm talking about 100,000 plus.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were doing really, really well. And so it was because of that, I was like, okay, I want to help on a different scale. And so I knew in order to do that, I had to come out of the personal banking side
Okay.
into the side where I can really help them navigate the trajectory of not only retirement, but just income, period. Because the spectrum was so large. I had older clients who had worked for 30 years and they were in the bank saying, hey, I can't pay my light bill,
Wow.
and pay and get my medicine. So I'm going to have to start working another job, different things like that. So I saw that there was a huge problem. And my thing was, how can I be part of the solution?
So almost like personal banking versus personal finance.
Yes.
So Melanie, if you look at what both of them are saying, Melanie was drawn to the problem and wanted to be part of the solution. That's what made her, the switch kind of go off. Whereas ShaRhonda, she just felt like there was something more that she should be doing. So guys, when y'all think about that, again, if there's a business, if there's a calling growing inside of you, what's pushing you to make that change may not be the exact same thing. It may not be, neither one of them expressed really frustration with what they were doing.
Right.
But they just kind of sensed that there was something else. Melanie, she saw a problem she wanted to solve. ShaRhonda saw she liked doing budgets for Christmas. So
Yeah.
And it was almost like for ShaRhonda, her career didn't align with her passion and her personal goals.
Yeah.
So I got another question for you all.
Okay.
All right.
What fears or doubts were holding you back, especially as you contemplated the change? And as a part two to that question, how did you overcome those? We got a lot of people that want to do something, but, the prison of fear. We talk about that a lot here.
Ooh.
It's so real.
It is really real. I would say when I really said, okay, I'm going to do this, I was afraid of the income because I knew what my check was going to be.
Right.
Right.
Every 2 weeks, I knew what it was going to be. In fact, because at that point I was salary. So, but before then, if I knew I wanted to pay extra on the bill, I was like, oh, I could break that down into a certain amount of hours overtime.
Right.
So that's what I would do. But it was that. It was the fear of the unstable income. And I remember what really made me say, okay, this is it. The day my mom passed away, and literally she passed away unexpectedly, but when after the end of the day, I was walking back into my house and I put my key in my door And as I did, I heard my mama say, "Make me proud."
Oh, wow.
And so it was a week or so after the funeral, I was talking to one of her best friends, and she was like, "I don't know if you remember, but the last time that, don't laugh at my mom, but they would go down to the casino."
Right.
So they would go down to the casino and hang out. And so they went down there, and she told her friend that, "I want to make sure that ShaRhonda does what really makes her happy, because I know she's not happy on that job."
Oh, wow.
And so when she told me that, I was like, well, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
That was your confirmation.
That was my confirmation.
What about you, Melanie? What fears were there, if any, and how did you overcome those fears?
Well, I would say the same thing. Like, I knew exactly what the income was going to be, plus bonuses. I knew exactly what I needed to do to get the amount of bonus that I needed to get, So that consistency was always there. So that was a fear of mine. Okay, I am stepping into a different world. Well, that's not going to be the story, right? And so when I had the conversation with my husband and we were talking about it, that was one of the pivotal moments. But I just knew I was having a conversation with my daughter, and I was telling her, I said, don't ever change. If you want to do something, you have to do it. You can't be afraid. And as I'm talking to her,
Come on.
I'm like, how
talking
can
to
you
you.
tell
Yeah,
her
I got you.
Yeah.
to follow your dreams? Whatever it is she wants to do, you're supported. You'll make sure you do everything you can to make sure it happens. Yet you're not doing the same.
Right.
Right? So that was one of those things where I was like, okay, it's now or never, because tomorrow is going to come.
Right.
Next year is going to come, and you don't want to be still saying, okay, I'm going to do it. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So you got to take the fear with you. You
There
got to do it scared.
You got to
Do
do
it
it
scared.
You got to
scared.
do it scared.
Yeah.
Oh, man. One thing, a common thread I heard in both of you all's response, there was something, you realized it was bigger than you.
Yeah.
There was something you needed to, not necessarily prove, but you had to do it on behalf of for somebody else. So, guys, there's my thing is wherever you find your motivation to knock down that fear. And we talked about that last week. Like you said, Melanie, doing it scared. You just gotta act.
Yeah.
You just gotta do it, and you have to do it when the moment hits.
Yeah. You definitely
So
do.
timing is everything.
So we talked about what pushed you all individually to want to make a change, but now let's go to what did that transition actually look like? So I made the decision. Now what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you make the decision, and now you got to jump. So that's the part.
When you jump, do you always go up?
No.
Okay.
No, that's not what because you're going into the unknown. This is a territory that, you've never been before.
Right.
So what happened was, as I begin to prepare for it, you have to make sure that you have as much or as many things in order. On the financial side, you want to prepare as much as you possibly can to sustain yourself and your family. You want to make sure that you have the tools that you need mentally to navigate the new journey. So that's how I prepare. Making sure that on the financial side, it's good, and then making sure that mentally that you're really ready for the adjustments, basically.
So even though you were excited, you were doing it scared, you still use logic. You didn't just do it willy-nilly.
Right, yeah.
And
Because you still have to prepare. If you don't plan, then you will stumble more than necessary. Right. So it's always.
And there are steps, like some things, like in you all's field, it requires licenses.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
Does it make sense to say, okay, quit one day and start the next day, and you hadn't gotten a license, you hadn't made, so sometimes you have to have that transition period where you're doing both. And
Right.
you just got to figure out how to do both simultaneously until you're in a position to do whatever your career change is full
Absolutely.
time, because you want to do things in order.
Yeah, you want to minimize the runway as
Yeah.
much as you can.
Yeah.
ShaRhonda, what about you? What steps did you take as you prepared for that transition?
Exactly like Mel said, I began to stack up cash.
Yeah.
So I put money up. I put money to the side. I also, like Eb, I got a couple of licenses. I was reading, just learning more about the industry itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you did your research.
Yeah, I did.
You
That's
have
great.
to.
So here's the thing, guys. So I know you all been in this walk now for, is it 7 years now?
This is the 8th year.
Eighth
Going on
year.
eighth year.
So
New
looking
beginning.
back, so
Yeah,
so
time flies.
I know time does fly. I want to rewind the clock back 8 years, and what I want you to do is ask yourself, what do you wish you had known day one that you now know,
Or even day zero.
or day zero? There you go. What do you wish you had known? Looking back, what do you wish you had known before you made the leap? And we got about 1 minute apiece before we got to take a break.
Okay. So the thing that I wish I had known is that I don't have to have it all figured out day one.
Come on, talk to me about that.
Because I know myself. I like to know everything there is to know about everything, right? That I'm doing. But I would tell myself that it is okay that you don't know or have everything figured out on day one. So that would be my biggest thing.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
And I would have took fear off the table.
Okay.
Like, there have been moments over these last 8 years where I doubted myself.
Mm.
And so I would have got back to my why quicker. Because when
Hold on 1 second now. You just said something big. Get back to your what?
why quicker?
But talk to me about that why.
Because when we went through a process called onboarding, and one of the things we did, we started with our why. Why are we doing this? Why are we taking on this role? Why are we in this position?
Right.
And so when the days were hard or long, I didn't focus on my why. I was trying to figure out, like, oh, I got to do this.
And putting out fire.
Yeah, I got to put out the fire.
Yep.
As opposed to taking it back to the why and the passion of it all.
Yes.
That's what I would do. That's what I would do.
Man, that is outstanding. Outstanding. So, again, but here's the thing. Even at 8 years in, it's still day one for the
Yeah.
next 8 years.
Yeah.
It is.
So now even at 8 years in, you still don't have to have all the answers.
Yeah.
You still need to revisit your why because sometimes the days still get long and the weekends get longer.
Yes.
So you still have to remember. You still have to remember these things. So, guys, we're gonna take a break right here, pay a few bills, and when we come back, we're gonna talk more about the fresh start and all that good stuff. Stay tuned, y'all. And we're back.
So, Melanie and ShaRhonda, let me ask you another question. We talked about making the leap, but what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck? They just can't bring themselves to make that leap.
That's a real thing because life be lifing, right? So there's a lot of things that come along with making that decision. So the advice I would give to someone who they absolutely know that they want to do something different outside of corporate America, I would just say, create a plan, create a strategy, and do it. Have faith in yourself, have faith in God, and do it.
That's good
So,
advice.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
I definitely agree, Mel. And to add to that, make sure that you have adequate enough savings for the ups and the downs, because you will have them. You will have them.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for that. So, guys, let's fast forward the clock just a little bit. So now here we are. You've taken the leap, the same leap we're encouraging other people to take. You've done it.
Right.
Early on, Mel mentioned earlier that when she took the jump, she didn't jump and then it just took off like a rocket. Melanie, and both of y'all, what would you say some of the biggest challenges you faced early on in your financial advising career?
Well, some of the big challenges were finding the people,
Right.
right? Getting out there, how can I get people to know who I am and what it is that I'm doing differently? Because for so many people around me, they knew me as the banker.
Okay.
So, just really getting out there and finding the people.
And and being in banking, correct me if I'm wrong, those people came to you all.
Exactly.
Have you ever pulled up at the office and there's a line of people waiting to see you here?
No.
I wish.
No, that's not how it happens.
So talk to me about what, like the mental mind shift of what had to take place in order to do that.
Oh, it's a really big mental mind shift because exactly what you said, Reg. I'm used to the line being at the door. Like when you unlock it, people are waiting, right? So, not seeing that, I'm kind of like, okay, so where do I navigate? The good thing about it is we did have a strategy in onboarding. Like we had a list of individuals that we knew. We call them, prospects. So there was a strategy to this, but now you have to connect with these individuals. You have to tell them what you do. You have to see where they are, right? So that's the thing. You have to be able to navigate through that.
And you talked about telling people what you're doing differently now, like telling people about your career change. And that's the challenge because people are always going to remember what you did for them and what you did for them last.
That's it.
So it doesn't matter what you did for them 2 months ago. What did you do for them last? And then that's what they're going to say. Oh, well, Melanie, if you helped them, if you connected them with a mortgage person at the bank, they're going to go and say, Melanie helps with mortgages.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
no, Melanie doesn't help with mortgages. She just helped you.
That's right.
What about you, ShaRhonda? What were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on?
The biggest challenge I faced was sales.
Okay,
Because
meaning what?
I came from corporate, so I didn't know a thing about sales. I wasn't even a Girl Scout, so I couldn't sell cookies. So I was like, oh my goodness, I got to sell to people? That was so difficult, just making the shift, the mindset shift of not so much you're selling to them now, but this is a sales role. And even as, when you make that leap to entrepreneurship, you will be selling your service or your product. So you have to look at it from that perspective. But that was the biggest thing. I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to sell this? But then one day it clicked with me. If you just give them, you meet their need, you solve the problem, it's going to take care of itself.
And I'm going to put you all on the spot right on the air. One of the biggest things I taught you, what are you actually selling?
Yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would give that advice to anybody, no matter what it is that you are going to start. You have to become a master at selling yourself. That's the real product. That's the real service. That's how you connect. All right? Go ahead, Mel.
And also knowing how you're going to connect, because the industry that we are in, the profession that we're in, it deals with emotions.
Yeah.
And so that's how, it's not necessarily a need-based thing, even though it is on our side.
Right.
For clients, it's not about the need.
Nope.
It's about the want, the desire.
Yeah.
What do they want?
So being able to separate the two, knowing what it is on your side, you can tell that this client needs this versus whether or not the client wants it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to separate that, and that can be a journey.
It can, and you know what? It definitely can. And I'm going to throw this in for, again, any listener, whatever it is you're considering doing, Melanie just dropped some jewels on you. Whatever you're considering doing, even if you know it's something people need, do not approach it that way.
That's
You're going to come up short.
Yeah.
Approach it from the standpoint is, how can I make them want what it is that I have? Not need it.
People spend money on what they want.
Yes,
I'm
all
telling
the
you.
time.
A little too much.
Think about the things that you like to eat. Do
Right.
you purchase what you want or what you need? If you're thinking, if it's a good day, and you're just out, you think about what you want, not what you need.
You ain't lying.
I want them hot wings.
Exactly. Definitely want hot wings. So, what about like mentorship, networking? Did any of that help as you all were getting started with your career change?
Yes. Yes, it did. I'm sorry. Yes, it did. Just building what we call center of influences.
Okay.
So
explain that to our listeners.
So what that is that person may not be your client or anything like that, but they know what you do. They know who you are. They know what you stand for. And from that, they make referrals. They say, hey, you should talk to ShaRhonda because she's excellent at helping you plan for your retirement. So those are building those types of relationships, and networking has been essential for me.
If you remember, and Mel, we definitely going to get to you for that question as well. What was one of the first things I had you guys to build was your board of advisors. You remember that?
Yeah.
And these are people, guys, that, again, if you're thinking about doing something, well, here's what I would suggest. Put together a list of people that's close to you who really, truly have your back. They got your best interests at heart. Assemble them in the same environment. It works better if it's all physical and not just a Zoom meeting. And be prepared for honest feedback as you ask them, what do you think about me embarking on XYZ? And again, be careful with who you choose, right? But because you don't want a bunch of yes people, and you don't want a bunch of haters.
You said something.
All right.
I think you need to repeat that.
You don't want a bunch of yes people, and you don't want a bunch of haters, but people whose opinion you really value, and people who you know truly got your best interests at heart, and let them be your advisors. And like ShaRhonda said, some of these will become centers of influence who will be advocates for your business. Right?
Has to be someone that can be objective.
It has to be someone that can be objective. Right. Melanie?
I will piggyback on what ShaRhonda said. Definitely, because they're on the outside looking in. So you're able to ask the hard questions, and they're willing to give you the hard answers. But I'll add to that and say that from the mentorship portion, I remember when I first met Reginald, and I used to tell him, man, if I could just get on your shoulder and just follow you to every meeting, I would definitely do that because he is so knowledgeable. So just having a person like that where you can actually go and say, hey, listen, now this is the case, and him being knowledgeable enough to say, okay, I'm familiar with this. I'm familiar with how to navigate this. It's oh my God, it's so key.
Oh yeah,
it's so key. So knowing that it is a team effort is so important and having a team where it's center of influence, board, or even mentorship, having someone else that is willing to help you get to where you want to go is going to be very helpful.
Absolutely. You know, I want to share this story real quick. Today is about Melanie ShaRhonda, but I want to just insert a very quick story that Melanie queued up very, very adequately. I can remember back, I think it was like 2001, 2002. No, it had to be 2002 because I was in my office. And I saw an article in Black Enterprise, saw a gentleman in there. He looked very successful. The whole article was talking about his success as a financial advisor. And it took me about a week to muster up my courage to call him just to see, if he would just give me any word of a piece of encouragement. I called the guy, expecting to get his secretary, expecting to be put on a list to wait, a year. They put me right through to him. And I wasn't even ready with my question because I did not think he was going to talk to me. This guy unloaded on me for 3 or 4 hours of just giving me just so much advice, so much encouragement. So because of that, I've always said that whenever I had the chance to give back, I always take advantage of it.
Man, that's an awesome story.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So like Melanie said, finding somebody who's walking the path that you're about to walk is very key.
It's quintessential. It really is.
Definitely is. So I know you all have seen those memes where it's what I ordered and what I got.
That was pretty funny.
So how was financial advising different than what you expected, or was it different? So did you get what you ordered?
Ooh, Well, I'm.
It's a loaded question,
Yeah,
right?
it is. That made me stutter a little bit. Because I thought I was going to come in and save everybody in the whole wide world. I thought everybody wanted, retirement planning. Everybody wanted to build wealth for their family.
Because why would they not?
Exactly.
Right.
But they didn't.
Okay.
So you had to learn, and everybody was not in the place. So you got to know who your client is. Mm-hmm. And I also had to learn that everybody is not going to be your client, regardless of whether they're family. So
and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine, because
right.
you have to get to the point where you are the expert. And hey, if you don't, maybe I don't want you, not so much you don't want me. You
right.
have to know who you are. So that was the biggest thing for me, because I thought everybody was going to be lining up like Mel said earlier, but that was definitely not the case.
Yep, you hit the nail on the head with that one right there. So, yeah, so did I get what I ordered is the question, right? Mm-hmm. In some aspects, I did. Yeah. Because I got the opportunity to help navigate lives in a very positive way. Yeah. And then in some way, I didn't. Because like ShaRhonda, I thought, man, if only people knew, if only people understood, if I could just tell them and they knew, then how could they not? Right. How could they not want it? Yeah. But they didn't want it. Mm-hmm. And at first I couldn't understand why you don't. Did you know how this could change the trajectory of your family's lives? Like, and it didn't turn out that way sometimes. And I used to harbor that. I used to be like, oh my gosh, you really, Yeah. So, yeah.
Me too.
So and it's not necessarily exciting. Like, sometimes doing what's right and doing what is best for your family, for yourself, is not fun and exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the responsible thing to do. Mm-hmm. So it's connecting with the clients in a way where they know what's right is what's fun. Yeah. Like, it may not, sitting down and meeting may not be fun, but because we're doing this, think about the vacations you're going to go on because you've got your stuff together.
Exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, before we go to the next break, we got time to get in another question. I want to hear from Melanie and ShaRhonda on this. I want you all to share with us a breakthrough moment or a big win that when you said, I made the right decision.
I would say when I was speaking with a client who, she came to me, she wasn't ready to retire, and she had accumulated a lot of money. She was great at savings, but she didn't know anything above that, because you only know what you know. Right. So she came in, we talked, and she was like, hey, I can make my money work for me. So, like, literally, she has this thing of making her money work for her in more than one way. So she's telling her friends about it. And now for retirement, which she's retiring next month, she told me the other day, I am great. Yeah. I don't have to worry. Because I came to you, I know that I don't have to worry about retirement.
That's awesome. Great. So for you, it was a client confirmation.
Yeah.
What about you, Melanie?
So similar. I have a client who's now dealing with cancer, and when I first met my client, she was thriving. She was older, but she was still in nursing, doing well, and she didn't know how to navigate her retirement. So we put the necessary tools in place for her to do that, and because of that, she's okay while she's going through chemo. She doesn't have to do those things.
That's all right, man.
So, I mean, it makes you feel like...
this is what I was called.
Exactly, exactly. It's those moments, yeah.
That is great, guys. So what I take from what both of you all said is one thing that I caught is that understand that you're not called to serve everybody. So y'all remember that as you venture out, as you take your leap. And we'll be right back in just a minute as we do this last segment. All right? Stay tuned. And we're back again, y'all, for this final stretch. Man, time is just rolling, guys. So as we start to wrap up this particular episode, I want to talk about real quick, how has this career change impacted your work-life balance and your overall just fulfillment? Mel, I'm going to go to you first on that one, Melanie.
Oh, man. It has allowed me to have a great work-life balance.
Okay.
You guys don't know, I have 4 children, 4 beautiful children. And so navigating work and life can be difficult sometimes.
Right.
And I'm a person, I don't really believe in balance, because sometimes the scale is going to be higher on one end and lower on one end and higher on at times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, having this career has allowed me to navigate that on a more even playing field. And so because of that, I am grateful.
Do you think that had you not made the leap when you did, do you think you would have that same work-life balance right now if you were still in corporate America?
Absolutely not, because I would be higher, I'm pretty sure, on the corporate ladder because of my aspirations and goals. So with that would come more responsibility, right? And so, me having little ones, all of them being in the pivotal moments of their lives, it would have been more difficult, I think.
So for you, taking the leap has afforded you a work-life balance that you may not have had. Well, you say absolutely you wouldn't have had you not taken that leap.
Right.
That's something to think about, guys. What about you, ShaRhonda?
I totally agree with Mel. It has, just because I have one daughter, and being able to take the time to spend with her, but also knowing that there are times when I really have to work hard, and and so having that balance on there, that really has been fulfilling for me. And
it is, when you really think about that work-life balance thing, now that's not something I didn't grow up hearing that. I'm Gen X. Gen X, we didn't really do that.
No, our parents didn't come to our events and stuff.
That's right. But it is so important.
Yeah.
And for me, that has kind of helped reshape my definition of success, which is where I'm going to go next with you guys. How would you say your personal definition, and I would say this to all the listeners, everybody has the freedom to define success the way they want to.
Yeah.
Success is not a one-size-fit-all type of thing. But ShaRhonda, how has your definition of success evolved?
It has definitely evolved where it's more about time.
I got you.
Time with my family and the people who really mean something to me. Because life is too short. You have people, and I'm sure we all have lost people along the journey. But just being able to take the time and not worry about whether you're going to be able to pay the bills, that's what success means to me. Just having that time to get away and spend the time with your loved ones.
What about you, Mel?
For me, success, I would define success as being able to do what you love in a way that allows you or affords you the ability to have that time that you're talking about, ShaRhonda.
That's good.
That's success for me.
Yeah.
Because if you are in a position where you can do that, then you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And for me, that's success.
Y'all, if you listen to both of their answers, neither one gave a dollar amount. You didn't give the size, the square footage of a home. You didn't give the make and model of a vehicle. The older that all of us get, you start to realize that the one most important thing is time.
Yeah, it is.
It's the one thing that's always moving forward, never goes back, never put on pause. You can't borrow it, you can't loan it. It's constantly moving, and you can't store it up. So you have to make the most of it for the time that you have left here. And y'all, there's some of you all listening right now, and you've been thinking about making this leap 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And here's what you don't know is where you would be right now had you done it then. Again, like Melanie said, you want to be calculated, you want to do all that. But I'm telling you, if you go to the grave with music still in you, you will regret it.
Yeah.
So that's just, my 2 cents I'm going to put on there. Y'all, what advice? Let's talk about some advice. Again, and looking ahead. So for the professionals out there that's really on the fence, right? They know there's something inside of them. They know it's a business. It's a book. It's just a side hustle. Maybe they don't want to leave the job, but it's something they're brewing. What's one piece of advice that you would give them? Mel?
I would say start.
Okay.
Like you just said, Reg, even if you're at the job, you can still start.
Mm-hmm.
You may not do it full time, but start.
Yeah.
The hardest part about doing anything is getting started.
Yeah.
But once you get started, then the road to whatever it is that your desire is or whatever it is you want to accomplish becomes a little bit easier. Right?
It does.
It becomes a little bit easier.
It does.
The hardest part is to get started. So that would be my advice. Just start.
Just start. I love that. What about you, ShaRhonda? What advice would you give that person that's considering making a transition?
Mel literally took my answer, so that's okay.
It
But
happens.
yeah, but faith.
Mm.
Keep the faith.
Right.
Because as Mel was talking, faith without works is dead. So that came to me like, do it, keep the faith, and do it.
That's it. And like you said, like we said earlier, you just if it's fear that's holding you back, do it scared.
Yes.
If it's money that's holding you back, find the money.
Yeah,
If it's lack of influence, get in a different circle.
that's it.
But here's what you can't do. You can't make moves and make excuses at the same time.
Exactly.
You got to give up one of them.
Exactly.
All right? So go ahead.
That was good, Rich. I think you need to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Well, there's always going to be 20, 30, 40 reasons of why you shouldn't do something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But the list of why you should would be 80 or 90.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So whatever it is you're looking for, if you're looking for an excuse of not acting, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for the reason, you talk about your why you talked about earlier. If you're really looking for the true reason of why you need to move forward, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there, man. And we could go. I could definitely go on and on, but one of the best. My thought process is just rewound. I think this happened around I hit age 40. Mm-hmm. Something happens at age 40 for me.
It absolutely
It does.
So it happens
It
for
really
women
does.
too. It happens for women too.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
At age 40, I start looking at. I'm like, okay, let me reverse engineer the rest of my life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about what I want it to look like at whatever the end date may be.
Yeah.
What do I need to do now to see what I want that to look, and then guesstimate how much time I have to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I move with a sense of urgency now, because I don't know how much time I got left, but I know what I want to get done.
That's true.
And I know what I want to leave behind. So, it just woke something up in me.
Well, you know what, Reg?
Go ahead.
The time thing.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that this industry has really shown is that time is fleeting.
Yes.
It's time.
Yes.
So we see it over and over again. But also that 40 thing that you were talking about, something happens where you truly understand that the most important commodity is not money.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The most important commodity is time.
Yes.
You can't get that back.
No.
So once that resonates, you understand that my decisions have to be. I have to take a little more time to look at the decisions that I'm making. Mm-hmm. The time that I'm spending, what I'm spending my time on, what's important, because you know that it is all about time that is precious. Right. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know what? The sooner you reach your goals, the more time you have to enjoy those goals with the ones that mean the most to you.
There you have it. Yeah.
And the longer you put them off, the longer you have. So here we go, guys. Again, we talk about this time, and as we turn our eye toward the future, what would you say excites you the most about the future of financial planning for you and your role here at P3?
Well, I would say what really excites me about is continuing my education or continuing learning, because
that's big.
You don't ever want to stop learning.
Right.
You always want to keep going, because the industry is forever changing. And so even like whatever your path may be, like don't ever stop learning. So taking that to the next level, getting more licenses, getting more certifications behind my name, not so much for me, because it helps me be better for my clients.
Right.
And just taking care of myself, learning, doing more of the work-life balance. So I'm super excited about taking my clients to another level, learning more to give to them. So I can.
And you know what I heard you say, ShaRhonda, without you saying it? The way you see yourself taking your clients to another level is by taking yourself to another level.
Yeah.
That's strong, man.
Yeah.
That's strong.
That's it.
And I think that's the right way to look at that. I think that's the right order. Because oftentimes we want to project on the other people, hey, you need to do better. You need to da-da-da. But what about?
Self-reflection.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Mel? What do you see, what are you most excited about as you just kind of look out over the next few months, years?
Yeah. So ShaRhonda paid me back by taking my answer. I don't know. But that's all right. So I was going to say just being a student.
Okay.
I want to forever be learning because I do understand that if I'm progressing, then so will my clients. So that's my journey. I want to make sure that I'm always a student. I'm always learning because I know that only benefits not just me, but it also benefits my client. The more I know, the better position I can put them in.
That's great. That's great. One thing about always progressing, when you adopt that mindset, what you realize is there's no destination called success, because it's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's what success actually is.
Yeah.
So if I'm always learning, if I'm always striving, if I'm always pushing for more, I'm never really there.
Yeah.
But the success is the journey itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now that took me a while to get, because I used to think, oh no, there's a place called success, and I'm going to get there.
But it's so much wisdom in that journey, though.
Oh, that's where it is.
Yeah.
That is definitely what success is.
Because the journey changes.
Yeah.
Right, right.
The journey changes. So
Change and talk to me real quick, Mel, about how your journey has changed.
you mean just throughout the course of the transition?
Yeah.
I would say my journey has changed in two ways.
Okay.
The confidence in knowing that I know what I know that I know that I know, and being in a position to understand the last thing that we were just talking about, which is the timing piece. So that's how it's changed. Coming in green, as they say, because I'm hip like that.
I hear you, she hip like that.
Yeah, but coming in green and really honing in of what this industry is,
Yes.
and what it offers, that has been a huge change for me. Because once you get it, and once you learn it, you can't unlearn. It's kind of like they say, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
So now you want the masses to know, and that just stays with you. So I think that has changed in me over the course of time.
Okay. Hey guys, real quick, we got about a minute and a half left. If you could go back and speak to your former corporate self, real quick, what would you say? What would you say to corporate ShaRhonda?
I would say do it sooner than you did.
Do it sooner than you did.
Yeah, because it was always, like for me, it was always something there that I wanted to do. Don't get me wrong, I love accounting. I did. I do. And, but the financial planning of it all, it has been like, yes, I love this.
That's how you know you moved into your calling.
Yes.
That's how you moved into your calling. Melanie, what about you? If you could speak to the corporate Mel, what would you say?
That you know.
Yeah.
So why are you waiting?
Come on now.
Yeah, you know already. So why are you waiting? Just go ahead and do it. Because those reasons that you were talking about, they play in your head. It's like constantly like a record player. There's always a reason why you shouldn't do it. But I would just say, what you waiting for?
What you waiting? You know what? We could have named the title of this segment, Do It. Y'all know how many times we've said just do it?
Yeah.
Do it, do it. I hope y'all are getting the picture like that. Just do it, y'all. Just do it. Wow, guys, that was absolutely incredible. I really hate the time has gotten away from us because your stories are so inspiring. We could go on and on. Melanie and ShaRhonda, I just want to thank you all for sharing your journey. I know it'll continue to motivate people to actually take their own leap of faith. But before we go, let's be sure that people know how to connect with you. ShaRhonda and Melanie, tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can give me a call here at the office, 901-209-4015, on Facebook at ShaRhonda Warner, or on Instagram at ShaRhonda the Money Chick. And I'll spell that ShaRhonda the Money Chick, CHIC.
And Mel?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook at Melanie Jones, Instagram, Mel the Money Mentor, and you can call me here at the office, 901-209-4015.
All right, Eb, let them know how to find us as well.
All right, of course, you can call me at the office, 901-209-4015, or you can find me on Facebook, IG, and TikTok at Eb the Advisor, EBTHEADVISOR.
All right, Eb, the same office number for me, but guys, you can connect with me on Facebook at facebook.com/Money Jedi, or if you're looking for me on TikTok or Instagram, it's actually the THE Money Jedi. Guys, as always, we are so glad you joined us today. Share this word with somebody else, and remember, it's time to elevate.